welcome back to another homework week. I don't even know the date, but it's currently, is it the 1st of June? No, 31st of May. We're about to head into June. So there'll be a monthly video coming out tomorrow probably. But for today, this is about the stuff that is just to do with what's happening this week in the cross-stitching world. And oh my goodness, is there a hell of a lot happening just for the week? Not to mention there's a new month. Like, oh, this is the week that blows my head. How do you guys go?
It's a wild one.
Yeah, so we've got Hannah from Crystal Academy. Welcome again, Hannah. And she's with us particularly because Crystal Academy have a new week and it's a totally new week. So we thought it was best to get Hannah on as a guest today so she could tell you all about it. So that's up first. And we have the lovely Laurie with us again too. Hi, Laurie. Hello. All right, well, let's get started. So I'm going to shuffle the order around. We're going to do Crystal Academy first, then we'll go to the Daily 30, then we'll mention everything else that's happening weekly, and then we'll end up with Supernatural like usual. So if you're here for a particular one, I'll try and do my best to tag them and let you know where to look. All right, Hannah, what are we doing in Crystal?
Okay, so new term is starting. So we are starting our new term on the 14th. Selfishly, we're doing that because I'm going on vacation, so I didn't want to start the new term while I was on vacation. So we are starting on the 14th. Right now, we're having our dorm sign-up. So we're doing this a little differently than we've done previously. We've done it a bunch of different ways in the past 2 terms. And this term, we've decided, let's give everybody kind of the chance to work with people that either they've become friends with or that they were friends with before. So I know there are a couple of dorms who are sticking kind of mostly together. Now we have had to break up the dorms because we're only allowing up to 6 people this term. But some people are sticking together who they didn't know each other at the beginning of, Crystal Academy. So it's really fun to see. So essentially there's a post and you just comment with your kind of team that you would like, 3 to 6 people. 3 is the minimum, 6 is the maximum. And you can be, there's kind of a spectrum of colors. And so there could be 2 Phoenix teams, there could be 2 Rougarous, but they're different colors. So that's kind of how we're differentiating them, is by the color of your mascot. So each dorm will have a colored flag that has their mascot on it. Another thing that we're kind of doing differently this term is I feel like a lot of groups are doing this, kind of chillaxed a little bit more than it has been. We're not including any kind of start words or start numbers or anything like that on your photos. We're going by just be nice to us and don't cheat.
Honesty.
And we feel like everybody's been pretty good. Like nobody has really cheated. So we felt like this was an okay thing to kind of move forward with. And this term, it's all about mastering spells. So you've learned them in previous terms and now we're going to master them. So again, it's pretty chillaxed. You choose 1 whip for each class and you work on that whip to try to master the spell. So for example, let me pull up the class schedule. So the first class we have is Technomancy, which you'll master Ignitica first. And so you choose 1 whip and you work on that whip to master the spell. So there's a couple of different levels. You don't have to do every single level. Now, granted, it might be worth your while trying to get to the top level on most of the spells, or at least on some of the spells, because we are going to bring back Spell Sling this year, and wink, wink, nudge, nudge, you might need to have a specific level to be able to participate in Spell Sling.
That makes sense.
So worth your time trying to master as many of the spells as you can.
Okay, can I jump in with a question right on that point?
Sure.
So if we are picking our whip for Ignitica, does our whip need to match the idea of the spell Ignitica?
No. So this is why it's a little bit more relaxed. You can work on anything, but you have to work on just that one for that spell. You can't switch whips unless you finish the piece. If you finish the piece, then you can obviously switch because you can't keep going, but you have to work on that 1 whip. But you get to choose whatever you want, but you have to choose before we start classes. So you have to have your list picked out before we start classes. So you have to look at the class schedule, which is in the files section, in the guidelines, term 3 guidelines, the whole class schedule is there. You can look and see. You have to have one whip, six whips at least, or at most, I should say. At most 6 whips. You can work on the same whip for the whole entire time. So if you're somebody who has one whip that's going, you just keep going on that. Now there also is our extra credit, which is kind of like if you are in magical stitches, there's full coverage like focus. This one doesn't have to be full coverage, but it's one that you're going to focus on until November. And you do 1,000 stitches on it. Every 1,000 stitches, you tell us that you've done 1,000 stitches and you get 100 extra points.
Cool. So if I just get my view on that, and I'll see if Laurie's got the same view, it's basically a week for planning and preparing.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
We've got to find a dorm to join. Mm-hmm. And there's going to be two halves of each dorm. One's going to be blue and one's going to be green, or whatever color we pick.
Right.
And then there's only between 3 and 6 people in each dorm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Then we are going to do pick basically up to 7 pieces that we're going to work on.
Right.
Okay. That's awesome. So it's sort of like a bit of a combination of to take back to other people, as you say, a bit like the magical stitches full coverage focus, but it doesn't have to be for the extra credit. And then you also have got a bit like a zombie run focus, where you're going to get to focus on potentially 6 pieces and work on them probably twice during that time.
Right. And if you are one of those people who does do, one whip and you want to do the extra credit, you can do extra credit, but you need to master the spell first before you can move on to the extra credit. So you have to master the spell and then you can start doing extra credit. So for the rest of the 2 weeks, if you have, a whole week left, you can get 1,000 stitches done for extra credit in that piece. Cool. So,
Laurie, any questions from you at this point?
I do. What if, say for instance, on one of the spell pieces that you finish your whip before you've completed all of the stages?
So you can then switch whips.
Okay.
No problem if you complete, or if it's one of the whips where it's a monthly and you get something new comes out at the next month, and we're not at the next month yet, so you don't have something to stitch. So if it's one of those sals, you can switch the whip and just say, hey, I don't have this part, or I finished the piece, switch the whip, then that becomes your focus for that spell.
Okay, and the same rule goes for extra credit if you finish that extra credit, since it's for so long. Okay.
Yep.
Another question. So during the week or 2 weeks, the period for that particular mastery, what if you've completed all of the stages in the mastery? Can you just go to extra credit at any time, or?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, you can start extra credit. So that's kind of why we put the extra credit in, because we know some people are going to be able to get those, I think it's like 750 stitches done pretty quickly. So then you just start on the extra credit, and you can do as many 1,000 stitches as you want. You'll just keep getting 100 extra credits every time you finish 1,000 stitches.
Got it.
Cool. Now, a question not for me, but for random people out there. Is it just cross stitching, or are we still allowed to knit, crochet, diamond paint?
So this one's a little bit hard because we had talked about this term being very focused more on the cross stitch. I don't have 100% clear answer for you at this second, because we're still, I think, thinking about it. I know that we had talked about this term specifically being much more focused on the cross stitch. Mm-hmm. But I think that's still up in the air. So I will post that in the group as soon as we have an answer.
But at the moment, you're sort of looking for your cross stitch pieces to fill each thing, declaring them under your group album, and then we actually don't have to worry about stitching anything till the 14th of June.
Correct. Yep.
Awesome. Wonderful. All right. Any other questions about Crystal, Laurie?
No, I don't believe so. Caitlin's tutorial on how to structure your post so you don't junk up your album really was helpful. And I don't know if Hannah, you want to speak to that a little bit or point to that post?
Sure. So that actually brings up another good point that I forgot to mention. So we do have each album for each dorm. And so essentially what you would do is you'd post, you know, here are all your pieces that you're going to do. So the 6 or 7 pieces that you're going to work on for this term. And then as replies to that comment, you will then post, you know, each of your different mastery levels of the spells. So you're trying to keep all of your specific comments together rather than, you know, your comments here, then Lisa's comments here, then Caitlin's comments here. And then, so it just is really confusing. So try to keep all of your comments together as replies to your first initial comment. The other thing that I want to mention is team captains. So this year we are doing, or this term we're doing something called team captains. And this is, again, kind of selfish. We're trying to lessen the amount of work that us as admins have to do on a weekly basis. So the team captains are actually going to be the ones who go through and kind of total up the amount of points that each their dorm members have. So Lisa, let's just say you were the team captain for your dorm. I don't remember if you are or not, but let's just say you were the team captain. You would go in, you can go in daily, weekly, every 2 weeks at the end of the class. You can go over however many times you want to go in, tally up the points that your dorm has, and then you tell us what your dorm points are. You can private message us. That's the best way. We have a team captain chat that we're setting up. Some people are added in. We're adding in people kind of, you know, every so often as we see the team captains arrive on the post. But that's where you would tell us where your points are. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, you can message us privately and tell us. But that's where you tell us what your points are. Now we will go in every so often and just double check that that's happening, especially at the beginning of the term when it's still new, still learning how to do things. We'll go in especially then. But as we start getting farther into the term, this term goes until November, almost the end of November. So it's going to be a long term. But starting kind of towards the middle end of the term, we won't go in as often. We'll rely a lot more on our team captains.
I think that's good. And look, stop saying you're being selfish. You're not. You're giving up all your time to run this creative and wonderful game for us to play to get our stitches done. So I think it's great that you're able to get a bit of the administrative work done by the team captains. And I know as the sort of person who is usually a team captain for different things, I actually love being able to go in and tick it all off and delete the posts and clean it all up. And then I know where we're at. And, you know, because I am a very honest person, I don't have a problem doing that. It's like, yep, let's do it. And most of us who play are honest. So I think it's great that you're erring to the side of trusting us. And I totally understand why it started off lockdown because of things that had happened in other groups and blah, blah, blah. So I think it's really good. I mean, you know, it is a fun competition, but it's not a go out and kill everyone sort of competition. It's just stitching.
Right.
Yeah, so that's really good. No, that sounds great. All right, well, if we come up with any other questions, you can feel free to post them on the video and I'll pass them through to Hannah if you have any other questions, or jump on to Crystal. I'm sure there's probably a crystal thread there.
Right, and then I'll post this video as well as a link on Crystal, so you can post a comment underneath of this video in Crystal Academy as well.
All right, so just on that, that's really good news that I've got time to think because I haven't even had time to absorb it yet. But Laurie, have you actually started thinking about any pieces you're thinking of doing for your up to 7 pieces? Have you made any decisions yet?
Yes, I am. So the whips that I currently have working that tend to catch a lot of prompts in other groups because a lot of us are in a lot of different groups. I'm trying to pick whips that I know one way or another I'm going to be stitching on it anyway. It really doesn't matter what week it is, and make those my spell whips. And then for my extra credit, I'm picking a full coverage whip that it's pretty. It doesn't have a lot in it, but it's pretty to me. And this gives me an excuse to always throw stitches to it at least every month. And so and I want it full coverage because I want it to last a long time. And not have to switch a lot. So that's my thinking on choosing my whips.
Cool. And Hannah, what about you?
Well, technically, I don't get to do the prompts because I'm a headmistress. But if I was going to do the prompts, I mostly only work on full coverage, so most of my things would work. But I have specific focus pieces, especially in correlation with Zombie Run.
Yeah.
So I would probably use a lot of like the pieces, and I switch Zombie Run at least one piece every month. So that piece would probably, I have to think ahead a little bit and think, you know, what am I going to plan on doing? I also do WIPGO, so I would probably try to, if I can, if I know what the 2 numbers are for the next month, I'd go, okay, well here. But again, you need to have those 6 WIPs kind of planned before we start the term. So that's where it gets a little difficult, is you have to go, will I want to work on this in November?
Yes, definitely. No, that's good. As I said, I haven't given any thought yet, but obviously my 4 zombie runs instantly came to mind because I'm already going to be doing the stitches on them. Although one of those zombie runs, I might make my extra credit, because then I'm going to be working on that. And because with zombie run, you have to work on it like each one once, and then you can choose whether you work on them each twice or you do this one, you know, 4 more times or whatever, depending on your numbers. I've got one that I'm focusing on, which is my stitch in time, because my goal is to get all the black done by the end of the year. So I would say I will probably chuck that on my extra credit, because if each level's only 750, I will get there. So I will get to the extra credit every week. So I will work on my zombie run.
Well, and one thing that just I feel like a lot of people are in semi-sane, and I know they have a focus piece every month, and that is 1,000 stitches. So ours correlates pretty well with that. You're doing 1,000 stitches for semi-sane for their focus challenge. Then you do 1,000 stitches at the same time for ours. That could work really well if you want to put that as your focus piece as well.
And I really appreciate that a lot of the groups actually seem to be doing that sort of consideration now. When they all started, they were all like this, and it's like, oh, I've got to do 200 here and 300 here and 400 here and then 500 here, and oh, am I? So at the moment, we're sort of going a little bit more easily, which makes playing all the games fun. And oh my goodness, the number of games out there has just expanded huge, but I'll get to that in a little bit. All right, well, thank you for the Crystal Academy update. So now we're going to move on to the Daily 30. And the Daily 30, we still don't know if I think it's still closed, but it's one of the only ones left that has specific prompts each week. So Daily 30 is pretty much driving what we're stitching for many of us, those of us in it. And again, if you're not in the group, that's fine. Play along at home. You know, if you want to have fun and know what you're doing, then, you know, nothing wrong with trying to play these challenges. Laurie, do you want to read us the Daily 30 prompts?
I do. I'm pulling it up.
Oh, look at it. See? Psychic.
Yes. Certainly. So this week is all about bees, and they're very important to us. So it's interesting to read these prompts. So prompt number 1, almost 90% of wild plants and 75% of leading global crops depend on animal pollination. 1 out of every 3 mouthfuls of our food depends on pollinators such as bees. Stitch on a WIP that has at least 75% of the stitches complete.
I know. Hannah.
Oh, wait. No, actually, I think I'm out. I don't think I have anything that's over 75%.
Now, can you just refresh us, Laurie? How many stitches, and what do we do if we want to do alternates?
So alternate stitches, if you do not have a piece that fits the prompt, you may stitch an additional 100 stitches or 1 hour for the desired token amount.
Okay. I was going to say, I have something at like 65, so I only have like 10% more to get there, but I don't have anything at 75. So I'd have to do the extra 100.
All right. I'm digging. Now, you're getting me totally fluid today because I've been madly stitching my butt off in the last few days, and I've started doing some more model stitching for myself. So I haven't done any prep, but I've got my goal for June, like it's touching over to the monthly, but it's driving my weekly this week, obviously, because tomorrow's the 1st of June. So is that apart from finishing up the things that I need to finish from last week's homework, I want to touch the pieces that I haven't touched yet this year in No New Starts. So that's driving my choices. So give me a second.
Okay.
Oh, what do you reckon? This is my my nativity.
Huh? Yeah.
Now, it's not on Pattern Keeper, so I can't say, but do you reckon?
Oh, pretty. Never.
That's where I'm up to. that's pretty close to 75% because I've really only got to do, where is she? I can't see doing. I've only got to do, I've got to do that top bit there.
Yeah.
No, see, I'm probably only 50%.
I was going to say maybe not because the bottom manger's not done.
Oh, that one's not 75%. I don't think
it's so hard when you don't have the pieces on Pattern Keeper because you've got to kind of just guess if it's close or not.
Yeah, I would imagine. All right, what about this one? And this is where get a bit of a choice. All right, this is my Nora Corbett L Fairy. But again, I don't know. Is this 75% of her done?
I would say yeah, because the L's done.
The L is huge, and
yeah,
if you look at the fairy, I think maybe that one.
I mean, L, other than the ivy, I'd probably say that's like 75%.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the closest I have. So I think my L fairy is going to get a Guernsey, and look, it's an extra 100 stitches for penalty or alternate. So maybe I'll just do the extra 100 and cover my butt, and then it's covered.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right.
There are my girls. So around the world, I have all of these girls done. So I have 6 of the 8 girls done. So that's 75%. Plus I have the world done, but I don't have the border done. So I think that's a pretty legit 75%.
Awesome.
Oh, absolutely. Also, I love that piece. Amazing. I love it so much.
Gorgeous. I love it too. I'd never seen it before you stitched it.
Okay, next prompt. Let me get back to that window. So number 2, bees can be found living in many different locations, including marshes, sand dunes, heathlands, wetlands, chalk grasslands, quarries, and even post-industrial land. Stitch on a web that reminds you of home.
Hannah?
Okay. Obviously, I'm going to do my wedding piece because, I mean, yes, we weren't married at home, but it's kind of, it makes me think of my husband who is home. So
definitely. And you live at home with your husband.
Right, exactly.
Well, I have a new range of designs and I'm doing my model stitching. And last night I actually stitched this one. So every great dream begins with a dreamer. And that reminds me of home because home is where my comfy bed is and it's where I sleep. So that's what I'm going to do for home.
So for me, I'm going to do Stream at Dyer Haven because I grew up in East Texas, and East Texas has a lot of like streams and ponds and lakes. And my sister and I used to go fishing all the time. And this reminds me of some of the places we might want to go. Did I share it correctly?
Yep. Oh, good.
Okay. Next prompt. Number 3, bees actually have 4 wings. The 2 wings on either side hook together to form a larger pair to aid flying. Stitch on a web that has a pair of something.
Okay, this one was really easy for me because Castles in the Air by Long Dog, there's like a pair of everything. So it's a literal mirror on each side. So
that's perfect.
All right. I got 2 choices, I think. But again, I don't, and preface, as always, we are not the verdict holders on whether these are right or wrong answers. This is just our opinion. Do you think, where is it? I could do that because it has like a pair of daisies on it. But there is
it doesn't have to be exactly the same, right? It doesn't say it has to be a mirror image. So I would say
so maybe. Or if I don't do that, I've got my ink circles base cleft because it's got that pair of dots on the side. So I mean that one definitely, it's just that this is one of my ones I have to model stitch. So if I can make my model stitches fit the prompts, they're not secret model stitches for once, they're just mine. So if I can get my model stitching into the prompts, then that's really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I should just preface for anyone who's watching, I will be dropping out of the official No New Starts challenge because my allowance of model stitches has now been expired because I've been getting too many commissions, which is wonderful, and work has to come first. But as an admin of No New Starts, I didn't qualify for the prize anyway, so I'm not worried. But I will officially drop out for those people who want to know I officially dropped out. But in my head, I am still doing no new starts, and I have not started anything because my model stitches do not count in my head as a new start. They're work. I don't want to stitch them. I have to. All right. What about you?
Okay, I'm doing Holiday Quaker because in this motif, there's a pair of doves.
Okay.
Okay, so prompt number 4. Bumblebees leave smelly footprints as they go, meaning other bees can detect whether a flower has been visited or a bee, or if the bee is a relative. Stitch on a piece with something smelly in it.
I will work on dogs for this piece because they can be quite smelly, and my dog can contest to that quite well.
Yep. All right. Well, this helps make my mind up. Cultivate yourself will be my smelly because the flowers smell beautiful.
Yes. Yes. And I am doing As the Leaves Turn because horses with their manure and their sweat and stuff can be smelly.
All right.
Number 5. When the queen bee dies, the hive selects a larva and feeds it royal jelly, so it develops into a new queen bee. Stitch on a whip you can relate to royalty.
So I would do Once Upon a Fairy Tale because there's, I mean, how many princesses in that piece?
And the knights. I mean, I feel like we've had a lot of royal prompts so far this year. It's like I keep bringing them out, but I have a different piece. Look, I can work on this one because there's the 3 kings.
Right.
Yay!
Yay! I'm getting to work on those ones.
I am back to Holiday Quaker because there's a crown motif. Most Quakers do, but that works.
That does work. Yeah, the Quakers are good for crowns.
Yeah. And let's see, prompt number 6 is a bonus prompt. Stitch on a piece with a bee. Part or all of your stitches need to be on the actual depiction of a bee, and all stitches need to be in the same piece. If your bee is less than 300 stitches, post with your ending photo how many stitches you put on the bee. So, okay. And your discount cannot be used on this bonus.
So you can't see it in this picture, but Castles in the Air has little backstitched bees, and you're not gonna be able to see it, but they do have little backstitched bees in there, like right underneath the deer, right here is a backstitched bee. It even has a stinger and everything, so I promise it's a bee.
We'll believe you.
Yeah.
The fact that you have to stitch on the actual bee is the problem for me, because I don't think I can get this bonus this time. I'm just looking for the piece that I have a bee in it. Surprisingly, there's none in Lavender Farm. I should share with you guys while I'm looking, shouldn't I? Make it a bit more interesting rather than just looking at me scrolling through.
Yes.
So, oh, there's a bee. Oh my gosh. There is a bee. Let's get him bigger. Can you see that bee at the bottom there?
Yes.
The question is, am I anywhere remotely near doing that bee? And the answer to that is no.
Oh.
But maybe you can like make your way down.
Well, look, if I get up to it, that would definitely be an option that I could do. It's pretty much the only bee I've got. The only other one I have is in Pandemic. Not Pandemic Long Dog, but Pandemic, the other one.
Yeah.
Which I can't find the picture of at the moment. But that bee is a bit more dubious. I used it for another bee prompt, but I don't know. And it doesn't have 300 stitches in it anyway.
Oh yeah, mine doesn't have 300 stitches at all, like anywhere close, but no. It's fine.
Got it.
Sorry?
I am doing the Bee Comes, and so I am up to, I've done the bee gum, so I have that bee to stitch, And if that's not enough, I finished that flower, so I think I can finish off this bee here. So
Yay!
I think
You won't struggle with that prompt at all.
yeah.
Laurie's fine with these. Well, there you go. That's cool. So that's all we've got for the daily 30, other than obviously the daily 30. Great. All right. So what else have we got? Oh my goodness. Well, semi-sane. We are continuing with our alphabet and we are moving on to letter L. How are you guys tracking with your alphabets? How are you going, Hannah?
I'm not doing alphabet. I don't have anything with alphabet in it.
Laurie, how are you going?
I am a bit behind. I've got my eye done, so I need to breathe through my letters, but that's pretty easy to get the letters in. It's all the flowers in between.
Yes. Well, I've done my I, and I've done my J, but I haven't done all the stitching with my J, but I haven't done my K. But because it's a zombie run piece, I'll hit it up this week because I'll do 400 on it. So that will get at least get my K and my L letter done.
Mm-hmm.
So that will get me back and thing. And the only whip day that's this week is Old Maid Day, working on your oldest whip. So which one is your oldest whip, Hannah?
My oldest whip is dogs. Technically, I restarted it, but I still count it as my oldest whip. So yeah, I'll work on dogs.
And Laurie?
Cozy Cove. A lot of people have seen this, but I can pull it up.
We haven't seen it for a while.
Yep, make it interesting.
Yep.
Here's Cozy Cove. It's a Dimensions kit I picked up almost about in 2000, something like that. Really old.
And for me, this prompt I quite like because it fits in well. I've been working on my oldest whip for my daily 30 in the weeks when I've done daily 30. And so it's a number sampler from all our yesteryears. And I'm far further than this now. In fact, I've finished number 2 and I'm now on that square below number 2. So I will do my daily 30 this week if I start today, and then that will be the stitches I need for the cover that Old Maid Day, and that gets me done with a bonus for that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And No New Starts has got the start of a new birthday sale. And this is my birthday. All right. These are my faults. You can thank me. So there are 2 pieces that you can work on to share in my birthday. One is the Fairy Tale Village, which is the really, really big, huge one.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one is Strawberry Fields by Blackbird Designs. I mean, there's a picture here somewhere. Getting close. There it is. So Strawberry Fields Forever by Blackbird Designs. So if you want to join in the birthday sale for No New Starts for this half of the month, which will take you pretty much up to when Crystal Academy start, because Crystal Academy is starting on the 14th and my birthday's on the 13th. So
is Seeking Refuge also in this one or no?
Pardon?
Is Seeking Refuge also in this one?
It might be, yes.
Okay, I think Seeking
I have to admit,
Refuge
I only wrote down mine in my book.
Yeah, Seeking Refuge by the Scarlet House, if you have that.
There you go. So that's what you can work on if you have any of those pieces with us, or whatever else that goes with it. All right, so that's what's happening in No New Starts and Semi-Sane. So there's a whole bunch, before we jump to Supernatural, a whole bunch of other games have sprung up. Lots and lots of different games. The good thing about most of them is you don't have to have any particular prompts, so it makes it really easy to double dip for the most part. So Hannah, I know I actually found out about Stitchagon Trail from your video. All right. So is there anything you want to tell people about Stitchagon Trail? Because I'm not in that one.
It's a really laid back game. So if you're not into the craziness of timekeeping and all of that, you don't need to, nothing is really timed. So if you're, somebody who gets stressed out really easily by playing games, having to know how long you have to do XYZ prompt, this is the game for you if you want to be involved in a game. You're not limited by any kind of time. You don't need to have any numbers or words on your start photos. It's very laid back. I love my little family, and it's really relaxed. The only thing you need to have is food daily, and that's pretty much it. So
and you're in a family of 5, aren't you?
Yes, it is a family of 5, and you all choose what kind of job you want to have, and it's your job might have more or less stitches, and that pretty much they tell you if you're somebody who's going to be able to stitch more, you should probably be this job. If you're not going to have as much time, you should probably be this job. So so far it's been really great. I'm a seamstress, so I've just been able to do whatever here and there as I go. So
Laurie,
really fun.
What other little groups have you found to join lately?
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
The Survival of the Stitchiest is probably the most recent game I've joined, and it's a little bit more intense because it's survival. The kind of name kind of gives it away. And so basically you have daily duties or daily things that keep you alive, like wood for fire, water for drinking, food to eat. And then you can kind of build up your resources by stitching, barns and huts and walls and things like that, that have multiple items to build up to these structures. And then about twice a week, there's a pop-up event where you can get some unique items, from hunts and things like that. Lots going on. You will not be bored. It's almost like you have to turn down stuff if you get overwhelmed. But the groups are up to 15 members, so you're not doing this alone. And so, if you're not a big stitcher, don't be turned off by this. You just get in a group and it's a group effort. So it's not all on you.
Yeah, that's cool. And I know that they've got a couple of pop-up at the moment. So the pop-up is they're catering for the people who don't like to do as much and people who like to do a lot. So what are the pop-ups you've got going today?
What? I wasn't there, so I'm getting there, so I can read it.
All right, I'll tell you. There's a hobgoblin. You can go and chase a hobgoblin for 4,000 stitches, and that's as a group. So that's not too bad when you think about the fact that for most people it's Sunday and a good stitchy day. Or a vampire for 16,000 stitches. So yeah, and you can say no, you don't have to do it, but it's all the group decisions. All right, and I've found a couple of others. There's another one called Handcrafted Pioneer, which seems to be, I like the idea of the old-fashioned farming sort of mentality. So you go and you plant your crops and you sow your fields and you do your fishing and all that sort of thing. And that one's, I think, similar to your one, Hannah, in that you're in a group of 5 in a little family. And so you're in that and you do your daily thing and it's laid back. And as far as I know, all these groups, I can't talk for StitchCon because I'm not in it, are open. So if you're interested in joining, just check them out. All right, so as far as they're all open, we'll put the links below, and I'll put a little note next to it, whether it's more challenging or an easier sort of stitch, because everyone's different. Everyone likes different things. And then there's another one too called City Life, which is another new one that started. And in that one, you actually are part of a family, which again, you're doing your crops and whatever, but it's so that a tour bus is going to come through the city and you've got to feed them. So you're going to have to make hamburgers and hot dogs. And I know it's like, whoa. So, and I'm sure there's many more as well, but they're the ones that I'm aware of at the moment. Are there any others you guys know of that I haven't mentioned?
No, I mean, other than Dynasty of Dragons has their wedding pop-up happening starting tomorrow.
Sorry, yes.
Well, yeah, starting tomorrow, Eastern Standard Time. But there's a wedding happening and we get to do all of these extra little, it's very much like the carnival that we had recently. So you do, extra stitches for things, and it's very exciting. And you each have your own album or your own event in the events tab. So each of your dynasties has an event. So make sure you post on that event.
So I knew I'd forget one. And I loved the carnival. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
So, Laurie, do you have any other things to say about the Dynasty being our nominated leader in my group? Are there any events we have to pay particular attention to or anything?
They're individual events where, you know, you stitch at your own pace. And then there's a couple of group events where a little bit of coordination might be warranted. The bouquet toss is one where the group has to decide what 2 hours a day can all members stitch the most stitches. So you can submit that stitch count. And then you have the dancing, where you complete 5 songs and then you get a spell versus individual ingredients for a spell. So a little bit of coordination might be warranted in those two, but most of the other events are like stitch at your own pace, pick what you want. You can even stitch the same item in an event multiple times. They just require that you have a start and stop for each item, for each claim that you make. So you can't like stack them or group your stitches from multiple items. Start and finish for each claim.
Cool. And do you know, Hannah, is Dynasty still open as well?
Yes, it is still open. New members can join. There is a post, I think it's in the announcements tab, that says, you know, looking for a dynasty. So you just post in there if you're new and you want to join the dynasty. Otherwise, you stitch as a rogue, and you can do that. Yeah,
cool. Well, there you go. So there is no reason to not be stitching, to not have fun. The only downside is that most of these events do involve counting. I think, I could be wrong, but I think Daily 30 is still the only one that has a timed option.
For the most part, yes, I think so.
All right, so the weekly prompts that we've got for Supernatural. Are you ready? Now, remember, guys, this one is about building up your stash at the end of the year. You stitch, and every 100 stitches you do get to a bullet, and you've allocate your own amount of money for how much a bullet's worth. I'm just being easy, and a bullet is $1 because I don't want to have to do the maths. If you want to go to Lost Stash and you have a lot of money to spend, then you can make each bullet $100. It's up to you. Ooh, think of the money there. All right, so we are in season 4, episode 15. Death Takes a Holiday, and you can do however many 100 stitches on each one. But again, I like to use it as a double dip, see what I can double dip on. And there's 12 prompts. Okay, number 1, stitch on something that has something edible in it. And I'm going Hannah first, sorry.
Okay. I will work on World Wonders map because there's food in there somewhere. I think there was a pretzel and beer in there, so I can do that.
You want me or you? Okay. So Holiday Quaker has a pair of candy canes here. The candy canes are right there. You can hardly see them, but they're kind of in that motif.
Okay, food in. I mean, I have lots of things with food. Possibly, actually, I'm going to share my screen because I still need to do, this is my last prompt I need to do today, actually, to finish my monthlies. I need to do good old cakes. Yeah, books, cakes. So I actually need to do a little bit more on that. So I'll be working on that today, and that will be my edible. So that will be good. Okay. We don't need to talk about this, but yeah, designer, first name, last name, design house company, or title of piece that has any of the letters in Floored by the Lord. So FLOREDBYTH. They're the letters. So easy, you can find something for that. Yeah, easy. All right, number 3 is something that references pop culture. So it could be video games, movies, TVs, something that references pop culture.
I mean, I don't know if this is pop culture, but would Disney work?
Yep, I think so. I would
do World of Disney because that's all Disney.
And remember, Supernatural's pretty relaxed. That is, you know, if you can explain it, I'm pretty sure you'll get your bullet. So, yeah. Laurie, any pop culture for you?
Not really. Okay, pop culture. Fantasy is really big now.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do a stretch, way stretching. Get cracking, because these mythical creatures are kind of popular now. So I would try.
Well, hey, get you working on it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to do my model stitches because I'll just show you them. To me, they remind me of memes. So like, today's a good day, or believe in yourself, or let passion be your motivation. I don't know which one of them I'm going to stitch next, but I think that would probably fit. What do you think?
Well, it could be a meme, but it also could be like, I was thinking emojis when you were holding them up, like the sunshine emoji. Like it could
Especially
be emoji.
this one. Especially probably like that one's got your little like, you know, if you turn up this way, it's like Facebook like.
Right.
So that's pretty pop culture. Yeah. So yeah, I think that would fit. I think I could make that work, and I'm going to be stitching on them anyway. All right, something you've had help with. Hannah doesn't need help with anything but looks at her face. She's just perfect.
I can't think. The only thing I would say I've had help with is when I was trying to pick out fabric for my castles in the air. I had a couple different options, and I couldn't figure out which one I wanted to do, so I kind of put up a poll on Facebook.
I think that would work. Yeah, definitely.
Good intentions. Actually, I was bugging Lisa one night, and I was trying to pick out what fabric I wanted to use for this whip. You probably remember that long conversation.
I do. I know, it was good. It was a nice conversation. I love helping people.
Yes.
Oh, I don't know if I want to pull this one out. Okay. I have help with this constantly. I love it. Love, 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 love it. That's how much I've done. It's on a piece of Paddock Dane Designs fabric that I love. I really, really like the way the red, and it looks like a motley bit of parchment that someone's found in the dirt. But it's 40 count. And I don't love 40 count. So I have a lot of help with motivation to get onto this every single time. I've done too much to restart it. But yeah, anyway, I think my full front hollow might, it probably won't get done, but if I was going to do it, might be that for this prompt. All right, this one, thank goodness it says something you have started in the last year. So it doesn't mean in 2021, just in the last year.
Well, I'm going to go with Baker Street because I started that. I think I actually started that right before No News starts. So in the last year.
Oh. Laurie?
I'll go with Nevermore because I just started that actually in the last month, but definitely in the last year.
Definitely. It's your cancelling you out of the No New Starts challenge.
Yeah.
And from that, I guess I could easily do one of my models. Or if it doesn't come up anywhere else, I'm going to be working on this one. So my base clef could also come up. Mm-hmm. All right. It's got a building that is marked on it.
A building that is what?
Marked. M-A-R-K-E-D. Marked. It could be a building with a number on it, or it could be a building with a sign on it.
I don't know if I have any buildings with numbers or signs.
You're not a building kind of person. We've had this discussion before.
I mean, this is probably attached to a building. If I did Baker Street again, it's a door, which I'm assuming is on a building.
And it's got numbers on it. So that.
And it's got numbers on it.
Yeah. So you could have done that one. Yep. Mm-hmm. Laurie?
As the leaves turn, it has a general store, and there's all kinds of signage on the storefront there.
I have lots of choices. You know what I'm like. Me and my houses. Gone. You guys disappeared. There you go. I'm just looking to see. None of them are marked. I don't have any houses that I'm actually working on this week though. So that could be a bit of a problem for me. Yeah, I might pass on that one for the moment because the only thing I can think of is, I mean, it would be stretching, but you know, the stable is marked by the Star of David.
Yeah, I think that's very legit.
It is legit. Yeah. So I possibly could do that, and I might actually be able to do that. All right. Something that has a horse or a moon.
Okay, well, this has both.
Of course.
Once Upon a Fairy Tale has horses and a moon. So.
Excellent. Oh yeah, it's got me thinking. Horse and a moon. I mean, I've got plenty with horses. That's not a problem. They're just not necessarily the ones I want to work on at the moment. Mm-hmm. And believe it or not, I don't think there's a horse in my Amazing Animal Kingdom. What about you, Laura?
Yeah, I don't think there's a horse in that one. There might be a zebra, but I wouldn't call that a horse.
No.
Go back to Cozy Cove. There's my little horsey there.
Cool. That works for you. As I said, I'm trying to minimize my stitching to the pieces that I actually want to work on this month. I'm just looking to see if there is a moon in it. Oh, yes. I know one there is. I think there's a moon in. Share with you. This is at least one of the ones that I might want to work on in the month. All right. I would say, surely there's a moon. Yeah, there's a moon in Spooky Hollow up the top. Yeah. So Spooky Hollow would be good for my moon. All right, next one is something with man-made light.
Okay. I mean, you can't see it, but I'm assuming this house has man-made lights inside of it.
Well, that's why they're yellow windows, I'd imagine.
Right. The lights are definitely on.
Laurie?
Yeah. For me, I'd have to go back to Holiday Quaker. So down here, the houses are lit up. Yeah. And you'll see it.
All right. What do you reckon about this? I know I've already used it for something edible, but man-made light, a candle.
Yeah.
That would fit.
Yeah.
So there we go. All right. Something that you've stitched on where you've had to cut the fabric into an unusual size, not a fat quarter, fat half, fat eighth.
It's literally everything that I work on. But yeah, actually, seriously, pretty much anything I have would work for that.
And I'm pretty easy with that too. I have a hell of a lot of things that are on unusual sized fabrics. What about you, Laurie? Anything particular?
Yeah, we'll just show some pretty things to enable some people.
Yeah.
Because we need that.
That's what we're here for.
Course is kind of small, so I cut out the fabric for that, so I could use the rest of it for another whip. So, yeah.
All right. Well, I have got one specifically to show you if I can find it, because you could not do this on a particular size piece of fabric, and I have already shown you, and it would be double dipping for many reasons. Mm-hmm. And it is my fairy tale town, fairy tale village, because it is only like this tall, like in height, but the length is my height, 5'4". Wow. So I definitely had to do that. All right, the next one, something with, now laugh, ready for this? A stormy scene or lightning, that's fine, or an angel.
A stormy scene, lightning, or an angel?
They fit in with the stories. The stories are great because each one of these prompts comes from the episode. So she's gone through and worked out what's in each episode. And I really enjoy these TV ones. So, you know, I'm hoping there might be some more of them next year because I like going through the, you know, the episodes of things.
Well, I'm not so sure this would be considered stormy, but we'll go for it. Once Upon a Fairy Tale, I know I keep on pulling this out, but it's got like clouds up at the top here.
Yeah.
Yeah, over here. So it's the closest thing I have to Stormy.
Laurie?
So I've been waiting to pull this one out because I think this is going to be my crystal extra credit.
Mm-hmm.
My little owl, his name is Stormy.
Oh, yes. And he's in the wind, he's in the storm. That is cool. Super cute. All right, for me, I haven't worked on this from last week yet. And there's an angel. So I will pop her in when I work on her. All right, second last one. Something with a mum or a lady with a message.
A mom or a lady with a message. I mean, I don't know. One of these ladies in A Stitch in Time could probably be a mom. They're not necessarily, but there's a dog. There's a couple dogs in here, so I'm assuming they might be dog moms.
Yep.
Yeah, we're gonna go with that.
We can go with dog mums. That's fine. Laurie?
I'm going back to good intentions. There we go. Because, hey, there's a dog there, dog mom again, but she has a message right up there.
She has a message and she's a dog mom. Yeah, I pay that. All right, well, I'm not stitching on this one, but the one that jumps to my mind, if I was going to be doing this prompt, and I don't have to do them all, would actually be my old time wagons, because to me that looks like a mum and a daughter at the front getting their milk.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure there's a mum and a kid in there. So that would be good. Or I could do any of my, I'll show you another one, because like Laurie said, we want to enable you. Mm-hmm. I'm quite sure that there would be a mum in, it's just a matter of me scrolling, in any of these ones from the Told in the Gardens. I'm quite sure there's going to be a mum in Grandfather's Barn, Raspberry Homecoming, Blueberry Homecoming, all those lovely ones I'm working on. So I would easily be able to do that should I actually be looking for something to stitch on this week, which is not going to happen because it's the start of the month. And the last one we don't need to talk about, but she's had an ongoing trend this season, something to do with an etiquette piece. And so if you've been doing that, you can work on your etiquette piece again. And it's the last time apparently that you get to work on it for the prompts. So there you have it, guys. That's just this week. That's without bringing in the fact that it's a new month and there's a whole bunch of new monthly stuff coming. Mm-hmm. So as soon as I get the Daily 30 monthly, we'll tell you all about it. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, ladies, and thanks for joining us, viewers. We wish you a week of happy stitching. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.